Okay, so we are in Joshua, chapter 1, verse 10. I will tell you the interesting story on this stuff real quick, too. So Jonathan's the one that uploads this for us every week, so the lesson's online. Yeah, he told me, he can go in and look and see all these hits. Yeah, apparently I'm not any good after about 2 minutes. That's the longest most people listen, is they disconnect at 2 minutes. My assumption is people find it and they think it's something else. You see, he can also see the top searches. There's for some churches out of the state, but they seem to find me for some reason. And as soon as they start listening, go, that's not what I was looking for. And, that's the end of it. So we get a lot of views. They just don't last very long. Okay. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the midst of the camp and command the people, saying, prepare provisions for yourselves, for within 3 days you are to cross this Jordan to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess it. To the Reubenites and to the Gadites and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joshua said, remember the word which Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, the Lord your God gives you rest and will give you this land. In other words, a reminder that while they've already been given land, they still have to go in and fight. Which, again, if the Lord's going before you, you're really fighting. So, but just a reminder for them. Your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you beyond the Jordan. But you shall cross before your brothers in battle array, all your valiant warriors, and shall help them, until the Lord gives your brothers rest as he gives you, and they also possess the land which the Lord your God is giving them. Then you shall return to your own land and possess that which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you beyond the Jordan towards the sunrise. Now, what does it mean when we say gives your brothers rest? No, actually. That's used more in the New Testament. That's why I'm trying to make a point of it, because in the Old Testament, rest typically refers to there's peace all around you. Nobody's coming after you. You've got secure borders. Nobody's trying to invade you. You're at peace. You don't have to worry about somebody coming in and trying to take over or attack you or whatever. And we'll see as we read through today that's something that they're given by the fact that everybody is afraid of them. So that's why they'll be at peace.
You're reading beyond the Jordan twice up in verse 14, and also my Bible says on this side of the Jordan.
Well, it's because they haven't crossed it.
You haven't crossed yet, so beyond okay. But why does mine say on this side of the Jordan? If they haven't crossed yet, they're on this side of the Jordan.
Because it depends on which translation you read, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because I typically read at least 2 translations, and there are always differences of what people think things mean. This one, why? I don't know. I know it was different in some of them, but I don't know why.
Maybe they're.
Well, when did they write this, and what was their perspective? I don't know. Valid question. I just don't know the answer. They answered Joshua, saying, all that you have commanded us we will do, and wherever you send us we will go. And again, keep in mind, that's kind of a big deal, because this is the first time that Joshua is coming out and giving the commands and running the show. He's always been there, but he's the second in command. He might go out and give people orders, but it's always repeating what Moses said, which came from Yahweh. So this is first time. So the fact that they're responding positively is a big plus. Just as we obeyed Moses in all things, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against your command and does not obey your words and all that you command him shall be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. Which, again, keep in mind, during this time, they're really big on making sure that there's no dissension in the ranks. It's not allowed. If you rise up against the Lord or the Lord's appointed servant, you're out. Usually out of this world. You're dead. So just keep in mind that's really what they mean. They're being very direct on it here, but it's the whole thing that you've just changed from Moses to Joshua. You have to have people following him now. He's got to get their attention, which hopefully we get that far today. Then Joshua, the son of Nun, sent 2 men as spies secretly from Shittim, saying, "Go view the land, especially Jericho." So they went and came into the house of a harlot whose name was Rahab, and lodged there. It was told the king of Jericho, saying, "Behold, men from the sons of Israel have come here tonight to search out the land." I mean, first off, how would you like to be known forever in history as the harlot? Or some of them will say the prostitute. Others say in places it calls her an innkeeper. It varies, so she's kind of got multiple titles. Because again, they mention her, they even reference back to her in the New Testament as referring to someone that, while not an Israelite, still believed and still followed the one true God. So even though she has a bad history, you also have to keep in mind she's in a pagan area, and how many options did women have for work at the time?
Zero.
Pretty much zero. And it sounds like, by some of the things she says, that she's pretty much providing for her family. So she's doing what she's got to do, I suppose. But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them, and she said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they went from here." It came about when it was time to shut the gate at dark that the men went out. "I do not know where these men went. Pursue them quickly. You will overtake them." Oh yeah, she's playing it up really well here. But also think about it. This is a big enough city. It's truly fortified. They really do close the gates at night. There's no entrance at night. It's a safety thing. But she had brought them up to the roof and hidden them in the stalks of flax which she had laid in order on the roof. Just to be clear, this was a common practice. You would go and take anything you needed to dry out. So this also includes, if you were drying out peppers, you're drying out whatever foods, you took it up and put it on the roof. That was normal. So it's not like, even if somebody went up there, that they would have thought there was something weird going on. Why do you have piles of flax on the roof? Oh, everybody did. It's where you went to dry things out, and there weren't any animals up there, so that was why they did it. So the men pursued them on the road to the Jordan, to the fords, and as soon as those who were pursuing them had gone out, they shut the gate. Okay, so they pursued them to the fords. What about to the Chevrolets and Lincoln Mercuries? So what's fords?
Place you can cross.
It's a shallow area. Yeah, it's a shallow area in the river. So I just wanted to make it clear. Hey, I admit I had to look it up because I'm like, okay, I'm missing something here. Okay, now before they lay down, she came up to them on the roof and said to the men, "I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that the terror of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land have melted away before you." Wouldn't that be nice to hear? As the 2 spies, to hear that these people are afraid just because they know you're headed this way. They're already concerned. "For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before when you came out of Egypt, and when you did what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, who you utterly destroyed." So again, the Lord's already put this fear of his people into the land in which they were going to possess. "When we heard it, our hearts melted, and no courage remained in any men any longer because of you. For the Lord, your God, he is God in heaven above and earth beneath. Now, therefore, please swear to me by the Lord, since I have dealt kindly with you, that you will also deal kindly with my father's household, and give me a pledge of truth, and spare my father and my mother and my brothers and my sisters with all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death." So the men said to her, "Our life for yours." if you do not tell this business of ours. And it shall come about when the Lord gives us this land that we will deal kindly and faithfully with you. So she's already making it. She's a shrewd woman. At least she's already making a deal. I mean, I don't know what they said to her beforehand, but obviously she knew who they were. Which, come on, let's be honest. If you're watching movies or seeing, people watching either or, you go, that guy's a Jew. Why? They have distinctive features. Let's just be honest. You think it wasn't so then? They all bred within the same gene pool. Let's just be honest about it. They're distinctive. Jews look a particular way. So she knew immediately who they were and what was going on. But she knew, because of the fear she already had of them, she knew, hey, this is a good time to make a deal. This is a good time to save myself. Because the last people we heard about, as she already said, you utterly destroyed. Okay. Then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall, so that she was living on the wall. And others say in the wall. It varies. She said to them, go to the hill country, so that the pursuers will not happen upon you, and hide yourselves there for 3 days until the pursuers return. Then afterwards you may go on your way. Now, we do know that where she's sending them, the hill country, because we know where this location is today, that was the opposite direction of where the two men had gone out to search for them. So, and there are a lot of caves in that region, so it would have been, along with the woods, so it would have been a relatively easy place to hide and be safe for them. The men said to her, we shall be free from this oath to which you have made us swear, unless when we come back into this land, you tie this cord of scarlet thread in the window through which you let us down, and gather to yourself into the house of your father and your mother and your brothers and all of your father's household. Now, any significance maybe to scarlet thread?
Like the blood
on the door,
doors.
doorpost and lintel. Yeah, exactly. It shall come about that anyone who goes out of the doors of your house into the street, his blood shall be on his own head, and we shall be free. But anyone who is with you in the house, his blood shall be on our head if a hand is laid on him. But if you tell this business of ours, then we shall be free from the oath which you have made us swear. She said, according to your words, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord on the window. A lot of faith in a scarlet cord for somebody that doesn't technically know Yahweh, right? I mean, fearful of the people, but obviously believes them to be honest, which this day and age, how many people that you meet are honest and trustworthy? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. They departed and came to the hill country and remained there for 3 days until the pursuers returned. Now the pursuers had sought them all along the road, but had not found them. Then the two men returned and came down from the hill country and crossed over and came to Joshua, the son of Nun. And they related to him all that had happened to them. They said to Joshua, surely the Lord has given us all the land into our hands. Moreover, all the inhabitants of the land have melted away before us. Again, they already said they're all fearful. Isn't it nice to know that the Lord could set all this up? This took planning. Think about it. Yahweh was constantly doing something to show the strength. I mean, these people have even heard all the way back to the parting of the Red Sea. I mean, she's referenced it. So people have heard about it. This happened 40 years ago. But people still remember the nation of Israel and what happened to Egypt, what happened to the Pharaoh.
This is the first we heard of Rahab.
Mm-hmm.
So she was very important. She turned out being the lineage of David on Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. I said she ends up being referenced throughout the Bible,
Yeah.
which,
God was using her right here.
oh yeah, no doubt. But to me, it's also one of those things that I found amusing because there are so few women mentioned specifically in the Bible when you think about it. I mean, there are, but they're way less than the men. But when God wants to bless one of them, she gets blessed. And that's really what I think is happening here. She's being taken care of. And think about it. These guys, the spies, didn't hesitate to go, okay, that's a fair thing. You obviously respect the Lord. You've helped us. Yeah. They didn't have to worry about whether God would honor their agreement. They were doing what they were told. They were following Joshua's lead in going out and searching out the land. So they knew they were doing the Lord's work. They didn't have to worry about, well, is this going to be okay? Is God going to honor this? No. They knew it's going to be taken care of. This isn't a problem. Again, I just think that's pretty cool. Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and he and all the sons of Israel set out from Shittim and came to the Jordan. And they lodged there before they crossed. At the end of 3 days, the officers went through the midst of the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, with the Levitical priests carrying it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. However, there shall be a distance between you and it, a distance of about 200 cubits by measure. Do not come near it, that you may know the way by which you should go, for you have not passed this way before. Basically, the Ark of the Covenant's leading, but the distance isn't just so that you can see what's going on. It's out of respect, because the covenant, remember, or the Ark of the Covenant is basically a throne seat of Yahweh. It also contains in it their most revered and important religious artifacts like the Ten Commandments and all that. So,
Aaron's hood and rod.
Correct. So we know what some of the things that are in there anyway, but it's respect, because this is supposed to be the throne seat of the Lord, because that was placed normally in the Holy of Holies. And you got to remember, nobody's even able to touch it. So you just trying to put it in perspective there. Then Joshua said to the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Now, you'll remember what consecrating means? Okay, well, you're going to, oddly enough, you're going to actually take a bath. You're going to clean yourself up. You're going to wash your clothes. Keep in mind, at this point, I suspect these are still the same clothes they've been wandering in the desert in for 40 years that haven't torn up. Think about that. So, anyway, they're going out cleaning up, and that's basically it, which, normal thing here. And Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, take up the Ark of the Covenant and cross over ahead of the people. So they took up the Ark of the Covenant and went ahead of the people. Now the Lord said to Joshua, this day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that they may know that just as I have been with Moses, I will be with you. Now, that sounds like a tall order, but it's coming from Yahweh. So, you're going to lift him up to the level of Moses? Well, yeah. Why? The people need to understand and see that the Lord is with him. That the power really did pass from Moses to Joshua. And it's very important that the people have that respect for Joshua. Because, again, you're going into battle. He's going to tell them things to do, and they may go, I don't think I want to do that. But they need to obey. You shall moreover command the priests who are carrying the Ark of the Covenant, saying, when you come to the edge of the waters of the Jordan, you shall stand still in the Jordan. Yeah, that one's confusing to me if you're seeing what I'm seeing. When you come to the edge of the waters of the Jordan, you shall stand still in the Jordan. You just came to the edge of it, but you're in it? I don't know. I can't answer that one. Then Joshua said to the sons of Israel, come here and hear the words of the Lord your God. Joshua said, by this you shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will assuredly dispossess from before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, and the Girgashite, the Amorite, and the Jebusite. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth is crossing over ahead of you into the Jordan. Now, then, take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 man for each tribe. It shall come about that when the soles of the feet of the priests who carry the ark of the covenant, the Lord of all the earth, rest in the waters of the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan will be cut off, and the waters which are flowing down from above will stand in one heap. So when the people set out from their tents to cross the Jordan with the priests carrying the ark of the covenant before the people, when those who carried the ark came into the Jordan, and the feet of the priests carrying the ark were dipped in the edges of water, for the Jordan overflows all of its banks on the days of harvest, the waters which were flowing down from above stood and rose up in one heap, a great distance away at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan, and those which were flowing down towards the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, were completely cut off. So the people crossed opposite Jericho. So just to kind of get this clear here, the priests walk up with the ark. Basically, as they're going to put their feet in, start to put their feet into the water, that's it. The water cuts off. Sound like
It comes in a heap.
well, that's the cool part, because I looked that up in several Bibles because I wanted to get the impression. I mean, look at it this way. Oh, you put a heaping pile of mashed potatoes on your plate. Yeah, heaping, it goes up. Heaping, same thing here. The water didn't just stop flowing. The water just came up like there's a wall. Same thing as when they crossed the Red Sea. Remember? They didn't just cross, where, the water slowed down here. No, the water stopped on both sides. It was just a wall of water on each side. The ground was even dry. So, again, same thing here. And they're stopping it way up. So, again, think of this as part of a mind game on 2 levels. One, it's showing the people that Yahweh is with Joshua. No question about it. Kind of repeating, not on the same scale as Moses parting the Red Sea, but very, very similar. The other part of it, he didn't stop it just right there. Notice what it says. He stopped it way upstream by Adam, which is another city. Now, what do you think is going to happen? The people in Adam go, whoa, hey, look at this. This is a big heaping pile of water. Water doesn't pile. Not like that. Not up. But it does here. It does when God says to. And so what do you think that's going to do? That's going to spread out. People are going to immediately gossip, right? That's what people do. They're going to immediately go out and tell everybody what they just saw.
They put the video on YouTube, I bet.
I bet they did. I bet they did. They had great coverage back then. You wouldn't believe it. Cell phones were amazing. So yeah, you think about it. People are telling this, and they're, you know what the Israelites did now? This time they parted the Jordan, but they piled it up way back here. I'm watching it. You wouldn't believe what I'm seeing. So as this is happening, this word's going to spread out to all these other towns in the Promised Land. Do you think anybody wants to fight them after this? I would say no. I don't think I'd want to go against them. I mean, just doesn't make much sense, does it? So, like I said, this is kind of a mind game on multiple levels here. And the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the middle of the Jordan, while all Israel crossed on dry ground until all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan. You just think about that. Not just, it was a little muddy, but, we could get through. No, on dry ground. It doesn't mention, and this is another cool thing to me, it doesn't mention, there were blowing winds and it just dried up really quickly on a hot day. No, it just says they started to step into it because the Jordan, there are banks on the Jordan, okay? So we're not talking about a small area. And as they said, the water's all the way up on the bank. So even if they started to go down into it, okay, water just dries up, Doesn't part necessarily, it dries up and stops way away at another city. really cool. Now, when all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord spoke to Joshua, saying, "Take for yourselves 12 men from the tribe, one man from each tribe, and command them, saying, Take up for yourselves 12 stones from here out of the middle of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet are standing firm, and carry them over with you and lay them down in the lodging place where you will lodge tonight." So Joshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the sons of Israel, one from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, "Cross again to the ark of the Lord your God in the middle of the Jordan, and each of you take up a stone on his shoulders, according to the number of tribes of the sons of Israel. Let this be a sign among you, so that when your children ask later, saying, 'What do these stones mean to you?' then you shall say to them, Because the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, when it crossed the Jordan. The waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall become a memorial to the sons of Israel forever." Should be, but as we all know, other people come in, Israel gets taken over, and they take a cue from what Yahweh's always told the Israelites. Go destroy all relics, everything of somebody else's religion. That's kind of a ongoing thing. So this may have lasted the entire time that, of course, while they were writing this, it lasted, and as they took over the Promised Land, I'm sure it stayed, but eventually others came in and took over. Thus the sons of Israel did as Joshua commanded, and took up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, just as the Lord spoke to Joshua, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel, and they carried them over with them to the lodging place and put them down there. Then Joshua set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, at the place where the feet of the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant were standing, and they are there to this day. My question is, how can you tell? Unless you go down for a swim in the Jordan. Well, you set it up in the middle of the Jordan. Now, I know if God wants them to stay there, they're going to stay there. I get that part. But I figure the waters are going to come rushing back, right? At some point. But hey, like I said, Yahweh can do whatever he wants. For the priests who carried the ark were standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything was completed, and the Lord had commanded Joshua to speak to the people, according to all that Moses had commanded Joshua. And the people hurried and crossed. I'll let this finish. And when all the people had finished crossing, the Ark of the Covenant and the priests crossed before the people. I was just going to say, I can, talk about them hurrying across. After I'd seen that, I think I'd kind of be in a hurry to go ahead and get across, right? I mean, you're watching a miracle, but at the same time, I don't want to be in the middle if somebody says something they shouldn't have said and God gets upset again. I remember hearing stories from my parents then about the army coming after them at the parting of the Red Sea. That didn't work out too well for them, so I want to make sure I just hurry and get out of the way. The sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh crossed over in battle array before the sons of Israel, just as Moses had spoken to them. About 40,000 equipped for war crossed for battle before the Lord to the desert plains of Jericho. All right, I had to do some research on that number because I don't really understand where we come up with 40,000. And I'll say that for a couple reasons. If you remember back, it was supposed to be 1,000 from each tribe, right? That's what the Lord had asked for. But then he gave a lot of exceptions as far as, hey, well, if you just got married, yeah, stay home with your wife. If you just planted a vineyard, you haven't even gotten the grapes out of it yet, stay with your vineyard. If you just built a house, you haven't even slept in it yet, stay with your new house. So there were exceptions. So you expect the number to be lower, but I also don't know how many people just chose to go because they wanted to see what God was going to do too. So I don't know where the number comes from, how they're making that, counting that. But Either way, that's what it says, so I'm going with it. But I did want to at least explain that. On that day, the Lord exalted Joshua in the sight of all Israel, so that they revered him, just as they had revered Moses all the days of his life. Now the Lord said to Joshua, command the priests who carry the ark of the covenant, they may come up from the Jordan. So Joshua commanded the priests, saying, come up from the Jordan. It came about that when the priests who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord had come from the middle of the Jordan, and the soles of the priests' feet were lifted up to the dry ground, that the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and went all over its banks as before. Again, didn't have to be something to see. I mean, people that critique religions and all this come up with all kinds of reasons why, sometimes the Jordan does dry up a little. Well, they mention it being around harvest time. That's when there's the most rain, okay? This has been the growing season. So you've just had, and it's in the spring for them. So they've got, or late spring, so you've got mountain snow that's been running down for a month, right? So you've got tons of water down there. This is a time of year when it's going to be relatively high. But instead, all this is dried up. In timing, it's not like, hey, we saw an opportunity. The water was low and we're crossing. No. One, dry ground. Two, they're crossing with no water there when it should be one of the highest points of the year. And two, it's as they put their foot down, what do you stand there all day? I'm waiting for this water to go down so I can start putting my foot down, make it look really cool. No, and then how are you going to time it getting out? Because as they step out, all of a sudden water comes back. This is God's timing. I mean, this is not it was a natural phenomenon that occurred. And no. It's just not the way it worked. Okay. So Joshua commanded the priests, saying, come up from the Jordan. It came about the priests carried the ark of the covenant out of the middle of the Jordan. The soles of the priests' feet were lifted up in high ground, that the waters of Jordan returned to their place and went all over its banks as before. The timing. That's all I'm trying to get at. Now, the people came up from the Jordan on the 10th of the first month and camped at Gilgal on the eastern edge of Jericho. Those 12 stones which they had taken from the Jordan, Joshua set up at Gilgal. He said to the sons of Israel, when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what are these stones? Then you shall inform your children, saying, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you had crossed, just as the Lord your God had done to the Red Sea, which he dried up before us until we had crossed, that all the people of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, so that you may fear the Lord your God forever. And honestly, that's what we're supposed to do. So people don't want to say, oh, he's a loving God. He is a loving God. But you should still fear the person that can destroy you, utterly destroy you, as we seem to like that phrase in this time period. Now it came about when all the kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan to the west, and all the kings of the Canaanites who were by the sea, heard how the Lord had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the sons of Israel until they had crossed from that their hearts melted, and there was no spirit in them any longer because of the sons of Israel. In other words, they were all scared. Like I said, that people talk. The word gets around. Who wants to fight them when you know what they can do? At that time, the Lord said to Joshua, make for yourselves flint knives and circumcise again the sons of Israel the second time. So Joshua made himself flint knives and circumcised the sons of Israel at Gilbeth Haralot. This is the reason why Joshua circumcised them. All the people who came out of Egypt, who were males, all of the men of war, died in the wilderness along the way after they came out of Egypt. For all the people who came out were circumcised. But all the people who were born in the wilderness along the way, as they come out of Egypt, had not been circumcised. For the sons of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness until all the nation, that is, the men of war who came out of Egypt, perished because they did not listen to the voice of the Lord, to whom the Lord had sworn that he would not let them see the land which the Lord had sworn to their fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So, today you circumcise kids on the 8th day, which there's significance to that. But beyond that is the fact that they were doing this to set themselves apart. That was the whole purpose of it. And since these people, they were all going to go in, they're representing Yahweh, he wants the difference between them. Why that? Good one, don't ask me. It's back to because God said so. I have no clue, other than say that's what Yahweh said. Their children, whom he raised up in their place, Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them along the way. Now, when they had finished circumcising all the nation, they remained in their place in the camp until they were healed. If you remember later on, trying to remember which biblical character was, but anyway, they convinced the other side, okay, if you want to be buddy-buddy with us, you're going to have to be circumcised like us. So they circumcised the nation, and what happened? Then the Israelites go, I know how you feel, I'm coming to kill you.
And they did.
And they did, yeah. They took them out. So that's why they stayed to heal, okay? This is an example to others in the future. Okay, then the Lord said to Joshua, today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you, so the name of this place is called Gilgal to this day. While the sons of Israel camped at Gilgal, they observed the Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month on the desert plains of Jericho. On the day after the Passover, on the very day, they ate some of the produce of the land, unleavened cakes and parched grain. The manna ceased on the day after they had eaten some of the produce of the land. So the sons of Israel no longer had manna, but they ate some of the yield of the land of Canaan during that year. So think about it. Well, you've had the same food for 40 years. Most of these people, in fact, all these people, all their life, this is what they've had. They've had manna. That's all they know. I mean, they've seen other stuff, heard about it probably from their parents, grandparents, but they've only had manna. But now that they're in the promised land and they're eating, again, remember, Yahweh told them he was going to give them this land flowing with milk and honey, meaning everything was already set up. Everything was ready for them. They didn't have to go in, okay, well, it's going to take us a year to get fields cleaned up, and then we're going to have to plow. It'll probably be 2 years before we actually get crops and start getting produce out of it. No, they walked in, everything was there, ready to go. I mean, I don't know how many of you have dealt with this kind of stuff before, but if you've ever built a house, you go in, you might have, I don't care if it's, quarter acre or if it's 100 acres. You go in and build a house. Okay, well, we got to clear trees. We got to figure out where the septic lines are going. We got to figure out where the driveway is going to go. We got to figure out all this stuff. Or you can buy into an existing house that, it's all been well maintained. Yard looks pristine. And there's a nice little garden in the back. Everything's set up, ready to go. Just think of Floyd's place. That'll do it. So you just think everything's set up, nice little place, ready to go. That's what Israel's getting to walk into. So when they're there, although the manna ceases, there's already crops, there are already things for them to eat. Everything's ready. They have to go pick it. That's it. They got to go pick it. They don't have to go in, I need to weed, I need to... No, not yet. You just go in. It's yours. It's all set up, ready to go. They're just trying to get the perspective in that, the manna stopped, but it's because they're being given their land. They've got produce. Okay. Now it came about that when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing opposite him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, "Are you here for us or for our adversaries?" He said, "No, rather I indeed come now as captain of the host of the Lord." I mean, can you imagine that? That had to be kind of wild. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and bowed down and said to him, "What has my Lord to say to his servant?" The captain of the Lord's host said to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. First off, I don't know, if I see a guy with his sword drawn, I'm not sitting there thinking, "Hey, let me go up and talk to this guy." I'm just saying, I mean, you know, that's a concern. He didn't have it in his sheath, okay? He didn't have it on his waist. He had his sword drawn, and Joshua says, "Well, looks like the man to go talk to." I mean, I can see the point, but it's kind of weird. But he's got faith because Joshua knows God is on his side. So go walking up to this guy carrying a sword. Okay, who are you here for? You here to try to kill us? Or are you here to kill our enemies? "Oh no, Lord sent me. I'm here with you." "Oh yes, the guy with the sword's here on our side. That's what I'm looking for." Now, Jericho was tightly shut because of the sons of Israel. No one went out and no one came in. So what do they mean it was tightly shut? It's another walled city, gated city, and it's, I think from our standpoint, we think more of medieval times and putting a castle under siege or something. But that's basically what they were doing. They were just saying, "You know what? We're going to shut everything up, and hopefully Israel will just get tired and go away." Yeah, good luck. But that's kind of the thought process, I think. So, and you have to understand that Jericho had a lot of springs, so they had water inside. That wasn't a problem. That also means they had room for crops in there. So you got to figure Jericho was a pretty large city, okay? But it was, as I said, it was a walled city, so they had some serious defenses. Which, sounds really nice until the Lord's after you, and then it doesn't matter what your defenses are. The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have given Jericho into your hands, with its king and all the valiant warriors. You shall march around the city, all the men of war, circling the city once. You shall do so for 6 days. Also, 7 priests shall be carrying 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. Then on the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. Now it shall be that when they make a long blast from the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpets, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city will go down flat, and the people will go up, every man straight ahead." Wow. Just all going to fall down. Now, you can hear the nerdy people going, scientists going, "Well, if it happened to be the right frequency, you might just vibrate it apart." No. Really? At that point in time? Yeah, I believe we probably have sonic weapons today of some form or fashion. What are they? Beats me, but I'd be really surprised if it doesn't exist. But at the same time, here, yeah, they had sonic weapons. Ram's horns, tuned by Yahweh. That's all they needed. So, feasible? Yeah, sure. But back then, only because of Yahweh. It's the only way you can do something like that. It shall be that when they make the long blast ram horns, that when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout. So again, he's bringing in, I just want to make a point, he's bringing in the people. This is not God just does it all. You have to be obedient. Everybody's got to do their part. I'm just trying to make that clear. So the walls of the city will fall down flat, and the people will go up, every man straight ahead. So Joshua, the son of Nun, called the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant and let 7 priests carry 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. Then he said to the people, Go forward and march around the city, and let the armed men go on before the ark of the Lord. And it was so that when Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets of ram's horn before the Lord went forward and blew the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I know we're kind of mid-story, but we're also at the end of time. So we will pick up at 6:9 next week.